Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us on Plus TV Africa's program Off the Press. My name is Felicity Ezewike. As usual, we'll take a look at the headlines and try to make sense of them with the help of an analyst in the building. And of course, you get to go visit your vendors and pick the one that interests you most. Today, I have with me public affairs analyst Wole Soyinka. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yes, good to be here.
Pleasure to have you. All right, we have some papers. We have Vanguard and some other papers. We hope we can go through all of them. We'll start with the Vanguard newspaper this morning. And the controversial Ruga is on the front page. The Vanguard is capturing it this way. Ruga, Buhari shouldn't have lost at the polls. Soyinka. Buhari shouldn't have lost at the polls.
Should have lost.
Shouldn't have. That's... Oh, Ruga, Buhari should have lost at the polls. What's wrong with my eyes this morning?
You're wearing your
Thank
glasses.
you for catching it. Okay. Ruga, Buhari should have lost at the polls. That's Soyinka. I was thinking, I can't imagine how that kind of mistake would happen, but that's what's on your screen now. Adds it's explosive. No society where cattle take priority over humans. Benue government heads to Supreme Court. Falana urges compliance with Supreme Court ruling. No land for Ruga here. Rivers. INC warns South under governors. Ruga policy unsettling Nigeria, Bode George. That's some of it on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. We also have endangered airspace. That's a question mark for you. Papa Oshodi, miscreants take over Mile 2 Tinkan. That's on page 10 of the paper. My second-term team must be formidable. Buhari is speaking on the heels of the discountenance of the statement, alleged statement issued by his media aide about a list. They said there is no list yet, but he's assuring us he's going to have a formidable team. We also have, I won't accept adversarial rancorous Senate. That's the Senate President speaking this morning. Violence, cause of inconclusive elections in Nigeria. That's at the very top of the paper. How financial demands made Abiola allow associates serve Abacha Oshoba. That's also on the front page. A bit of maritime story here. Seaports shut as maritime workers begin nationwide strike. That's also on the front page. And of course, we have sports on the back page of the Vanguard, which is a regular for those that read the paper on a regular basis. I'll come back to you, Wole. Thank you for that catch, by the way. So which of these do you want to talk of? Let's start with one.
I think we should just make a bit mention about the Ruga thing. It's been there for how many days now? Maybe more than a week or thereabout. There are a lot of views from several quarters, but there are also some unassailable facts. And I think playing on those facts, people should be able to make up their own decisions, one of the facts is that the ownership of land resides with the governor. The law chose its words. The law says all lands in every state are vested in the governors. No ambiguity about that. I also believe that when you look at the environment, for a while now, the serious insecurity in the environment, a lot of these things are being hung on the Fulani headsmen. And therefore, there is a very strong distrust in the system. So when you have an atmosphere of distrust that is as thick as this, Ruga is ill-timed and improperly communicated. It's meant to face serious rebuff, and it has faced it. It is, you know, people were already suspicious of anything Fulani, rightly or wrongly so. But the truth is that there's a strong distrust in the atmosphere. So you can't, on the back of that, say, okay, now I'm going to bring some camp of Fulani beside you. Nobody's going to take that.
Well, Soyinka's position in connecting this with the elections, do you think that because of this, the president should have lost at the polls?
Is this, yes, because what I think is trying to say is that, look, the way the Fulani herdsmen issues were handled created so much insecurity and distrust in the system such that people should not have re-elected him. He should have lost the election based on that. That's what Soyinka is saying essentially. And unfortunately, these issues are still not being dealt with as they're supposed to be dealt with. People are still suspicious of everything Fulani coming to them. If you listen to the Mietiala guy, for example, speaking about Zamfara in the newspapers today, he was still saying something about, oh, the Hausas have offended the Fulanis, and that is why the Fulanis are doing all sort of banditry in Zamfara, and that may not stop in the near future. What kind of comment was that? So even in the north, there is suspicion against the Fulanis. And look at the utterances of Mietiala in a circumstance like that. So how do you want the Southerners to react?
Well, let's see what plays out with this, because everybody that is anybody in this country is already sharing their opinion, and it seems like a widespread rejection of the idea.
The truth is, if you see Ruga in your backyard, go and ask your governor. Ruga can only come to a state because
the governor gave consent.
As simple as that.
The second-term team must be formidable. How would you react to this?
I think we should stop talking about what it should be. I think we should just bring on this cabinet. There's enough of all these stories. It will be formidable, formidable. That was how we were hearing formidable and screening and honest men 2015. We waited 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, waiting for this honest man. At the end of the day, people without NYSC certificate still ended up on the... See, all these things need to stop. Just bring on the cabinet.
All right, we go to this day newspaper now. Soyinka is here again. Ruga settlement may set Nigeria on fire. Rivers reject policy as other states have done. My election reflects Nigeria's wishes, says Buhari, contrary to Soyinka's position. Oily business. You want to find out what that is? There's a picture of some people on the front page. There you have it on your screen. Stand firm, Atiku tells Saraki over EFCC's summons. You'll find details on page 8 of the paper. INEC is also captured here. Just above the Soyinka screamer, you have INEC demands immediate trial of electoral offenders. And above the masthead, you have capital importation into Nigeria hits $8.48 billion in the first quarter. You find details of that story on page 8. And at the top, the very top, Baru, NMPC has settled over $2 billion cash call arrears. On the back page of this day, we have off-policy prejudice. Prejudice, rather. Buhari's picture is here, and Kayode is speaking at the horizon. Let's see your thoughts.
I would like to pick the good news. That's the capital importation into Nigeria hits $8.48 billion in quarter one. That number is about 216% over the previous quarter. So it is good news. When people bring money, this quantum of money into your economy, is somehow a vote of confidence. It's saying that I can see some opportunities in this economy, and I'm willing to take a bet on that economy. So I think it's good news. Good one for Nigeria. Whatever we're doing, that is in spite of all the challenges, still making people to bring money to our economy. We should reinforce those ones, while at the same time we should deal with all those things that will make people pull out their investment from Nigeria. This
article's solidarity with Saraki, what do you make of it?
It's understandable. I think the main, the crux of the matter here is the issue Saraki seems to be having a problem with EFCC with has been adjudicated, you know, and it went all the way to the Supreme Court. But I think what the EFCC is doing is trying to find another way, because you cannot adjudicate on the same matter twice.
Supreme Court, yeah.
You know, but if there's a way you can come at it from another perspective and get the court to listen to you, you can shoot for it. In the real sense, if there is a case there, why should I be worried? If somebody has said I've stolen something, I'm not stolen, no, well, I go to the court. We'll meet you in the court. You know.
All right, let's move to the Nation newspaper now. Buhari's ADC's father-in-law freed 2 months after abduction. That's the picture of him on the front page. There you have it. Soyinka, cattle colonies can set Nigeria on fire. Different angles to Soyinka's comment captured. I think that's basically on all the papers. That's what is the headline today. That's just to, indicate the urgency for action. And we'll see what happens. Economy attracts $8.5 billion in the first quarter, says MBS. We've talked about that a little. We also have Kwara workers on EFCC's searchlight. It was risky funding, Nadeco, says Oshoba. Oshoba has been in the news lately. Yeah. We also have Kalu, Boroface, others are Senate officers. Let's see. Lagarde quits IMF for European Bank. That's an interesting one. Jonathan's wife goes to appeal court. That's some of the stories on the front page of the Nation newspaper. Let's see what's on the back now. Of course, the Ruga toxic vibe. This is Reality Bites by Olatunji. Let's see, which of these haven't we talked about that you can take on?
Makinde, or you're technically bankrupt. It's something we must pay attention to. And I think it's not just about your states. It's a lot of states that are technically bankrupt. What he was actually saying in this piece of news is that, look, if Oyo were to be a company and I'm a lender, I won't give them a dime. Because I will question their capacity to pay back. That is essentially. And a lot of states are in this mess. Here is it. States need to reinvent themselves. Until states in Nigeria start to see themselves as a nation, look at yourself and say, suppose I'm a nation and I don't have to go to Abuja at the end of the month to go and collect money I didn't work for. How will I run the state?
That would presuppose complete commitment to a cause to better the people and nothing to do with, self-promotion. Because
exactly. You're going to be forced to use what is in between the two airs to find creative ways, innovative ways to solve your problem, your people's problem, to generate income. We have nations in the world who don't have a single mineral under their soil.
But they're thriving.
And they're industrialized. They're doing well. Because the truth is that the most important resource any country or any state can have is human. So developing the human capacity to think, to innovate, is at the center of transforming us as a country. All those dependents on oil, looking for oil all over the whole place, is a waste of time. So the governors need to do more. Unleash the wealth of their state rather than sustain the dependency on Abuja.
I want to talk about this ex-president's wife. She seems to be since they left office, she's been in court, like back and forth almost every day. There is one story or the other. Yeah. What are your thoughts generally?
There are things that were not cleanly done. This particular case, the court said she should forfeit about equivalent about $12.2 million US. These were monies that she said were gifts. $12.2 million. If you do your computation and go to Naira, you have an idea of what I'm talking about. It's a huge sum of money. Gift for what? In corporate organizations in Nigeria today, there are gift policies. Do you know why there are gift policies? Because gift could be an initiator of graft. When people give you gifts that are certain level of gift, it is because they want to influence certain decisions. That's why they give it. So you have about 4 or 5 companies who are not known to be doing any business, but they suddenly receive $12.2 million. They are questionable. When you talk about the law part of it, she may eventually win at the court because the legalese side of things may not add up. For example, her lawyers were saying, did somebody say his money was missing? It's possible. Somebody might not have said my money was missing. But it doesn't mean that a wrong thing has not been done.
All right, let's take a look at the Punch. Again, Ruga is on the front page for you this morning. Wole Soyinka's thoughts captured. There you have it. Captured again. causing explosion. At the top of the paper, you have Oyo is technically bankrupt. That Nation also mentioned that, and Bulahan has spoken about it. Public Procurement Act encouraging corruption, says Senate President. Gas producers lament as power firms owe 1.3 trillion naira. Soldiers working, officers of Brigade, 16th Brigade Nigerian Army and corps members during routine sanitation in Yenagua, Bayelsa State. That's a good one. We're hoping that there will be a continuum because it looks like a dump site. If they clean it today, it might resurface tomorrow. So we hope that their effort is not in futility. But it's a good one. A lot of persons would say. Commendable, indeed. FG persecuting Saraki, says Atiku. That's how they're looking at it here, but on this paper, I think on This Day newspaper, stand firm, Atiku tells Saraki, different caption depending on the editor in charge. Video shows senator slapping nursing mother at sex toy shop. I really want to hear your thoughts on this one. Financial statements, and it says NSE suspends trading in 11 firm shares. A bit of business for you, and the red highlight on your screen, computer programmer commits suicide after securing a Canadian visa. How?
I can add that up. It's difficult to put together. There are a lot of things happening. This is not about economy. This is not. Whereas there are some other frustrations out there that nobody was paying attention to. There might even have been a medical problem, a mental, psychological issue.
Yeah, we really don't pay a lot of attention to mental health. We just think money solves all.
Everything. You know. Well, let's talk about the not too young to slap senator.
Not too young to slap senator. That's a new one.
He's the youngest senator, 41, and that's the youngest we have. You know.
Power intoxicating now.
So, and if how he thinks that should come into play in our polity is by slapping a young, nursing woman, then that's why I said it's not too young to slap.
Probably he wasn't expecting to be caught on camera.
That makes it even more worrisome because it means that he probably has been doing things like that in the secret. And he will have gotten away with it. Without the cameras, he will have gotten away with this. But I hope we won't allow this to die. You have a senator come to a sex toy shop with 3 girls, one of them throwing up all over the place. You can even begin to paint all sort of pictures. Where were they coming from? Why was she throwing up? What about the 3 girls? Where is his own wife? There are several things. But if you're going to be a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, there's some basic level of responsibility that I think you need to have. Elisha does not have it.
Well, there is no crime going to a sex shop to get, because everybody's personal life is there. Yeah, but that is certainly something to condemn.
Yes.
All right, that's for this. I want us to look at this issue of I'll require a formidable cabinet for the task ahead. I know you've spoken about it before, but this is a different angle to it.
Does it mean
do we have a formidable team in this country that are politicians that can actually do the work in the capacity that we're looking at for ministers?
We don't have a problem with a formidable team. That's not a problem. It's a country of 200 million people. You can get the best of the best. If you decide that, I don't even want Nigerians that are in Nigeria. I want to go abroad. You can import
Nigeria.
You can import. You can call recruiters, call the economists, call PwC, call, people who can shop around the entire world and bring you the best of the best. You can do it. That's not. So putting together a formidable team is not as much a big deal as he's talking about it. I think where it becomes a problem is the political intrigues that are involved. Because what you have in the cabinet is that each state must donate to that cabinet. And it is the political structures in each of those states that throws up, it's those structures that throw up the candidate that they nominate to the center. So if you give me a candidate and I don't want it, if I want a formidable cabinet, if you give me a candidate I don't like, or I don't think can get a job done, and it means I need to reject it, right? So you bring another one again, I reject. It's a whole lot of, but the bottom line is that we are tired of waiting.
Let's get them already. Let's get them already. That's what a lot of Nigerians are saying. Let's stop this tough
enough
talk.
Of the stories. Enough.
All right, before we wrap things up this morning, let's take a look at sports. Some of the headlines here. I'm going to drag you into this one. Barca to unveil Griezmann, July 11. Palace laugh off Arsenal's £40 million Zaha bid. Nigeria to face Cameroon in round of 16. Rivals to meet for the 7th time at AFCON tournament. Injured Mikel may miss first of AFCON. There's been some talk around Mikel's behavior during this AFCON series. Well, Kocha expects tough Cameroon clash, urges Eagles to bring A-list game. Etebo, I play better as a number 10. Okay, that's
a message for his coach.
That's some interesting headlines this morning. There's also the transfer news on the back page of the paper, so you might want to go capture that. Okay, one quick thought on one, and then we wrap things up.
Yeah, the Nigeria-Cameroon one, is, I like the way someone captioned it. They said Nigeria walks into the Lions Den. The Cameroonian team are called the Lions, you know. This Saturday in the round of 16, which is a knockout, actually, Nigeria will be meeting Cameroon. It's a match that I can assure you will keep a bit of traffic off the roads of Lagos, because a lot of men are going to be glued to their TV to see this particular match. It also is a rekindling of an old rivalry, Nigeria and Cameroon, Nigeria and Ghana. Those are old rivals, you know, that are noted in this space. So we are all fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. I'm rooting for them. I'm rooting for them. Even though I'm not much of a football fan, I believe that Nigeria should win all the time. I'm a Nigerian. Thank you very much for coming on the program this morning. Always a pleasure to have you. And of course, thank you for watching. Always a pleasure to have you too. We'll see you again soon. Off the Press returns 8:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. My name is Felicity Ezewike. Have a productive day.